So hello, parents and kids. How are you today? This is Dr. Echo from Brain Power TV, and I have an amazing guest today, Dr. Hadeily Salazar. So I met Hadeily when I was in pediatric residency in New Jersey, and it's amazing. I ran into her this many years later, and she's just as amazing as she always has been. So Hadeily, can you tell our kids and parents a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, so thank you, Dr. Echo, for having me here today. It's an honor for me. Well, just to tell you a little bit about myself, like yourself, I'm also a pediatrician who is very passionate about helping parents and kids. And one of the things that I'm focusing right now is to help parents to improve the communication and understanding better what's going on with their kids. So because lately we're seeing so many mental health problems and lack of communication. And I'm the founder of Healthy and Strong Kids, and I'm all about helping families. Thank you.
Yay. That sounds wonderful. So, Hadeily, so since you like to focus on communication, what practical tips can you give our kids and our parents on how we can better communicate with each other? Because like you said, yes, there's been an outburst of mental health issues in both kids and parents. So it's important for us to address these things that may not necessarily be addressed in the pediatrician's office, but it's real. So we're here to learn.
Yes. So yeah, of course, for the kids, one of the most important tips I can give you is remember that your parents love you and your parents are not your enemy, and they want to know what's going on with you. If you have a problem, don't be ashamed to talk to them, and don't feel bad if you feel that something is wrong. I would like to actually mention a little story of a case, a patient I have, because I think this is very important to mention right now.
Right.
And I'm gonna change her name for privacy issues, but I have a little one. We're gonna call her Lily, and Lily came with me with her mom, and her mom was concerned about Lily having attention disorder or attention deficit because her grades were going down, and mom thought that she was very distractible. Something was going on.
Right.
When I actually started talking with little Lily, I realized that I started asking very specific questions. And unfortunately, mom wasn't aware of those little things. I asked her how was she sleeping, and she mentioned that she wasn't sleeping well. I asked her if something was making her worry, and she actually started disclosing things that were going on at school. And it ended up that she was suffering of anxiety because she was being bullied. And mom didn't know that. So for parents, please, parents, be open. This is my advice for you, parents. Be open to your kids. Don't act as if you are judging them, because sometimes you do it because you love them and you want to make sure they are doing the right things, but you want to give them space for them to feel safe with you, to feel free to talk about anything, and mostly to feel that they won't be judged, punished, or that they are not able to communicate with you. Please become their best friend. That's my goal here.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because kids want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to know they're valuable. And that doesn't mean we have to be perfect parents. So please don't feel like we're saying, oh my gosh, you can never make a mistake, because all of us here, we're imperfect. Nobody has achieved this perfect parenthood business. It's a journey, right, Hadeily? I'm sure you'd agree. So kids want to know that whatever they tell you, you're not going to throw it in their faces at a later date, right? You're not going to say, oh, but you remember when you did such and such and such, because that just makes them shut down immediately, and then you get nothing out of them. So my advice to parents is always don't ask generic questions like, how was your day? How was your day will elicit fine, and that will be the end of the conversation. Ask them specific questions. Who did you play with today? What did you learn what subjects did you do in school today? Who did you eat lunch with? I mean, it doesn't have to be like an interrogation, but when you ask specific questions, you do get more answers than just how was your day? and if you stop right there, kids will not usually give you any more information, especially if they feel like they're not sure what your reaction will be, right, Hadeily? I'm sure you'd agree.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and as Dr. Eko mentioned, you wanna ask questions that don't feel like, first, that they are so non-specific that don't go anywhere, but also questions that don't feel like you are being judgmental, or you're trying to monitor everything and micromanage everything
Right.
your child does, because then they won't talk to you. They won't tell you what's going on.
Right.
But there's it's very important that you allow them to express themselves as well, and this is very important.
Yes, so important. Right. So with your program, the Healthy Strong Kids, so what other areas do you focus on with parents?
So one of the other areas is about healthy expectations, and the reason as well is because it's very important, I think, that we help our kids to be high achievers. That's very important, but
Right.
we want to have a balance in that. Actually, if you are creating too much pressure in your teen or in your child, what's going to happen is that, yes, he or she can become a high achiever, but that might be costing them their emotional health. They might be anxious, they might be actually stressed or even depressed, and you could notice that by how sociable they are and how they basically perform in other areas. One of the things is goal setting is very important, but it's not all about just being the A-roll student. One
Right.
of the things with healthy expectations is to also allow your child to express if they feel that is too hard for them, and
Right.
also focus on reward the effort, not just the result. Because one of the keys also with healthy expectations is remember that there is variety of talents, and you want to help them to identify what they are good at.
Right.
As Dr. Eko mentioned, nobody's perfect. So nobody can be perfect or good at everything. Then help your child to identify their talents,
Right.
but most important, reward their effort, not the result. Of course, you want them to have good results, but remember, when a little kid is starting to walk, it has to fall many times, trip many times before can walk well. So
Right.
failure is a normal part of our lives and behaviors. But if our kids are not allowed to fail, this creates a lot of stress on them.
Right.
But then they don't have healthy expectations.
Oh, I love it. Yes, so important. Because one of the things we parents do, I put myself in that category. Sometimes you have this expectation of, okay, so I went to medical school, so you need to get yourself together, right? And you need to do well in science, you have to do well in math, you have to be the A student. But maybe they like the arts and maybe they're really good at drawing. So, like Dr. Salazar said, it's important to tease out what your child's gifts are and let them build on their strengths versus they're sinking and falling in the thing you think that that is good for them. And of course, we all know that yes, education is important, but also the balance is, because if a kid is struggling and you assume that because they are smart, then they are not supposed to struggle, right? They get it, but they're just being lazy. I want you to just listen to your kids, because your kids will actually tell you when they're struggling. But it's very easy for us as parents to dismiss it, like, oh yeah, just go do your homework, right? Not stop and address what they're crying out to you about. And I just wanted to point out one more thing you said. You said, um, what was it you said? You said something about letting the kids, I lost my train of thought for a second. It was something about you letting the kids um, find their gifts. So yeah,
Yes.
that's so important that the kids are able to find and express who they really are, because then you have a well-balanced child who will grow up to be a well-balanced adult, hopefully. So
Yes, so we're not raising robots that are good at everything. So you want to help in the strength and the talents that they have, and
Right.
that's very important. So finding out what they like, and of course working on the things when they go to school. That is the opportunity actually to learn variety of things and everything. But that doesn't mean that you go to the world and you work on everything, right? So
Right.
that is the opportunity to find out what are you good at and what are your talents, what do you want to do in the future.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no way they can do everything. Oh, I remember what it was that struck me. Yes. So the points that you made about rewarding, about recognizing the effort and not the results. That makes that goes back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago about being specific about the things that your child, I mean, the questions you ask them. So if your child, if you see that they're putting a lot of effort into their project, and yes, they may end up with a B, it's better parents to be specific and say, hey, Kathy, I love the effort and I love how much attention to detail you pay to your project, because you're pointing out a strength, right? They approached the project with detailed, they gave it a lot of thought, and they did their very best, versus, okay, oh gee, you only got a B. I mean, why didn't you get an A? You know, because then they're more likely the next time to build on that and to go into things wanting to do their best, not necessarily the results. So they don't get hung up if they get a B. It's like not the end of the world. And they know that they have this strength, which they're going to need in adulthood, right? To be able to follow through and complete tasks like they should. Yeah.
The other important thing that I really like to teach parents about, and kids, of course, because this has to be a holistic approach. It's not just the kid, it's not just the parent, it's like a combination. But of course, the attitude that the parent takes towards their kids is going to really determine their behavior. Right. If you are actually someone who reacts to the minimal things, or like the bad result or the problems, then what your kids learn is to react. But if you actually learn, like respond and learn to manage yourself to respond, you are teaching by example to your kid to actually respond instead of reacting. And those are very important things. The other thing that for me is also very important is the way you talk to yourself and the way you talk to your kids, because it's very interesting. But we have in our, let's say, in our mind, we have our conscious mind, that is our intellectual mind, that is where we put everything we learn. But we have our subconscious mind, that is where we have our programming, like a computer. The computer has its programming. But if we keep telling to ourselves, oh, I'm not good at that, and you tell your child, oh, you cannot, you never get that right, you are not good at that, then your child start programming his subconscious, I cannot do that, I'm not good at. And those, unfortunately, self-negative thoughts and it are programming your subconscious. So later, and they might learn a new skill, and they feel like, oh yeah, I learned how to do it, but oh, my subconscious keeps telling me I cannot do that. So helping to reprogram your, like, and I'm not talking about something that is not non-scientific. I'm talking about like really the way you talk to yourself, because this is a lot of psychology here. And to be honest, it really, really works.
It does. I know that. I know that for sure. Because the important reason, another important reason why it's so important, parents, to first of all, we reprogram our own minds so that what comes out of our mouth is helpful to your children, is because your children hang on every word you say, even if they don't like they do. So if you keep telling them for years and years, what is wrong with you? That sentence alone, if you just keep saying that to them, they're always going to question themselves. What is wrong with you? Like, you don't measure up, you never measure up. So yeah, and yes, tons and tons and tons of studies have showed this. So this is not something woo-woo or we're pulling out of our brain cells somewhere. It's scientific that we are in control of our thoughts, and we can actually change our thoughts to change and our thoughts control our behavior. So if you change your thoughts, control your behavior, you change your behavior for good, right?
Yes.
That's why we're talking about the brain, because if we are cognizant
Mhm.
of what's going on in our brains and even the physical health of our brains, then it shows up in the way we act, and it shows up in the way our life unfolds. So that's why it's so important. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yes, and this actually brings me to basically the name of this program, brain power. This is the power of your brain. And your brain, we're not talking about the physical anatomical structure. We're talking about your thoughts, about how actually you can change your attitude, you can change your behavior, you can change your results just by changing the way you think,
Right.
and the way you see yourself and think about yourself. But also very important is that this is not something that easy that you just say, okay, today I'm gonna just change my thought and that's it. We always have the tendency to go back to our comfort zone if we
Right.
do not change our habits.
Mm-hmm.
And changing our habits, also we go back to our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, because
Right.
consciously you can say, oh yeah, I'm going to change my habits. For example, just to give you an example, you want to lose weight. Yes, yes. Oh, I know I shouldn't eat that chocolate cake. Okay, I'll change my habit. And many times you change it for one day or maybe two, but because we haven't really changed the habits, and the multitude of habits that we in our subconscious mind,
Right.
in a few days we get back to, okay, I'm doing what I know I shouldn't be doing.
Right.
And that we call it the knowing doing gap. So those are little things that are very important. Learn to actually change your habits for good and not just for one day or one week.
Mm-hmm. Which goes back to, what is your why? You have you
Mm-hmm.
heard of Simon Sinek?
Yes.
That talks about like, what is your why, or start from your why, right? Why do you want to do this? Why is it important for you to lose weight? Why is it important for you to change your thoughts? Because I mean, after you've done it, after you've reacted so many times, hopefully your eyes are open to see the consequences of that. So
Mm-hmm.
that give you enough push to say, okay, I need to change this habit, like, for good, so that I can be the person I would like to be, right? So you have to have that image of who it is you want to be and start with from there, because that's what will keep you going on the days when you want to eat the chocolate cake, right?
Exactly. Yeah, basically it's the motivation, your motives, what is motivating you. Because if you're not motivated, then you're basically not going anywhere.
Unfortunately not. So yeah, wow. Yeah, this stuff is so important. And yes, you're right, it can be hard, but small steps, just one step forward every day, one more step, and you get there, right?
Yes, exactly. And as I said, as you mentioned before, we are not perfect. And this every new any new project or any change you want to do, it takes time
Right.
and it's a process. So
Right.
you need the right process, you need the right motivation, but most importantly is that just for you to know, there are ways to improve, there are ways to actually as a parent, you can actually yourself start talking to yourself better, start changing your own habits and attitude, and that's gonna really reflect on your family, not only on your kids but also on your spouse, how you respond or react to him.
Right.
And that will really make a big difference.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Oh, yes, the spouse. Everything is connected. So it
Yeah.
starts with the way we talk to ourselves, and then it outpours into everybody else. Because there's something I've learned over the last few years, is I can't help anyone, or I can't give anyone something I don't have myself. So if
Mhm.
I want to really share love and really share hope, I have to have it myself, because really you can't really sustainably give out what you don't have. And you can only give out from when you're full and you're overflowing, and then that's how you can serve others. So
Mhm.
yeah, so it's so important for us to start with ourselves as the adults, but also kids listening. It's important for you to work on yourself. Nobody's too little to change the way they think and the way they see themselves, right?
Yes, and just an interesting fact is that I was actually going through the CDC statistic about how mental health in teens has really been affected, and with the pandemic it's even worse.
Right.
So the rise of the cases with ADHD, learning disabilities, oppositional defiant disorders has raised so much in the past few years, and unfortunately it is mental or emotional problems that can happen on your kids, on your teens, really affect on the decisions they make, the attitudes they take, their school performance. And I'm pretty sure that you as a parent, you want them to be successful. That's why part of actually what I help you and your family is to set goals, and help your child to be motivated to set their goals. Because unfortunately, I sometimes I see teenagers that they are going through something and they don't even have a goal. They feel hopeless, and that's very sad. And that's why Dr. Echo and I, even though we are trained as as pediatricians, we believe that not only medications or pharmacology is the solution. This has to be something holistic.
Yes.
That's why we're trying to help families here to actually change their behaviors, to have a better, healthy, and happy family, and not just tell you, okay, here's the prescription for ADHD, here is the prescription for anxiety. Unfortunately, just that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because, I mean, how much medication are we going to get if the environment, if what they're eating doesn't change, if the way they see themselves don't change? I mean, because unfortunately, like Dr. Salazar is saying, the amount of kids with anxiety is like so high. I mean, kids who are formally diagnosed with ADHD have such a high rate of anxiety. It's unbelievable. So to me and to Dr. Salazar, it only makes sense that we have to address what's actually going on. What's the root cause of this behavior you're seeing? Because there's so many other things that could be showing up as what we think of as ADHD, which if we maybe looked at their sleep. Did you know that if you put the symptoms of no sleep and ADHD next to each other, it's like, they look very similar, right? You have realized
Yes,
that,
yes.
yeah, like, so something as simple as, okay, how are they sleeping? Is there what's going on? Are they afraid at night? I mean, if it's the younger kids or even the older ones, are they having nightmares? Okay, so what caused the nightmare? Is there something going on at school? Is there bullying? So you see, everything is connected. But if we never ask the questions or we never spend time to figure out what it is, then we'll never get to the root cause of what the behavior is, and we're just going to end up with medicine. I mean, may or may not help. We're not saying medicines don't help, but it's also important to look at the whole child, and the whole parent as well, too, right? So.
Yes, and that's very interesting that you mentioned sleep, because I actually did one of the research I did in my pediatric training was about how obstructive sleep apnea and snoring, those kids that were snoring, actually, they had more ADHD behaviors. But many times by correcting the sleep disorder, they were actually less hyperactive and they were performing better. It doesn't mean that all the ADHD kids will have that, but by identifying what could be the root cause, you can actually improve the symptoms of something. Yeah. And anxiety goes hand in hand with sleep disorders. It's unfortunate, but right now with COVID, I'm seeing more and more kids that have separation anxiety and they are not sleeping, and now we have to deal with that.
Exactly. So they're not sleeping, they're anxious, and then boom, they're not behaving right. Yeah. So yeah. So, something I found that I started doing with my kids is taking each of them on a date. So once a week, I take each of them separately. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to break the bank. It's just taking that one-on-one time. Hey, I see you. Hey, let's talk. Let's do something you like. I'm all into you. No phones. No beepers. Let's just talk and do what it is. And you'll be amazed at how much better your kid will bond with you and your relationship will improve. So before you go, what's your last tip for kids and parents?
Well, yes. So thank you. So my last tip for kids and parents is, first, parents, don't be too hard on your kids. Remember that you are the best example for them. So if you want them to improve a behavior or to change something, you actually have to change yourself. You have to change your attitude. Maybe you have to change the way you talk to yourself and to your kids. And that is very important. But most important is, you wanna discipline with love. Okay, so remember that. And for the kids, remember, remember, you have to remember, your parents love you, and if they correct you or discipline you, is because they want the best for you. Many times they don't do it the best way,
Right.
but please, you want to look at them as your best friends. And I've seen how much this negative self-talk can really impact in their self-image. So
Right.
please, kids, remember, your parents are there for you, and they are the best friends you can ever have.
Yes, absolutely. So how can parents get in touch with you? Sorry. How can parents get in touch with you if they would like to know more about how you can serve parents and kids? How can they get in touch with you?
Yes, so my website is healthystrongkids.com. It's very easy, healthystrongkids.com. That's my website. And my Facebook, personal Facebook, I actually there are the links to the Facebook group where I actually give helpful tips to parents, and they can find out more there. They can get free tips and helpful tips, so you can always learn something for yourself and for your kids. And my Facebook business page is Healthy and Strong Kids.
Yay, that's wonderful. Yes, check Dr. Salazar out. She's amazing. And I'm sure you'll be able to find helpful tips to help you and your child. So thank you so much. We've had fun, and see you next time on Brain Power TV. Bye.
Thank you.